Today's show is supported by the Athens County Visitors Bureau. My better half, some of y'all know this, is a bobcat, so I have spent my share of spring and autumn nights sipping Black Widows at the Pigskin. But when school is out for the summer, Athens County is a totally different vibe. So laid back, same small town, same lush, picturesque hills, but basically no crowds. Think over 100 miles of mountain bike trails, scenic paddling, hiking, and winding back roads you can explore. You can eat local food, catch live music, do some shopping, so much more. I challenge you, go beyond Court Street and visit AthensOhio.com for more information. It's more than a place, it's a place to belong. This is CityCast Pittsburgh. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Mallory, Sophia, what is your favorite hunker down, it's storming outside activity?
Take a nap. I sleep so well when it's raining.
I should have been able to guess that. I'm a big fan of playing cribbage by candlelight.
What is cribbage? Is that like one of those old people games?
It is an old person game that I don't know if it's having a young person renaissance outside of just my own household, but it definitely is here.
I have friends that are currently playing Mahjong and Bridge, so I guess I'm not surprised.
What's yours, Megan?
I'm definitely Midwest dad and just go stand outside and watch the rain.
Except during a tornado. You take those seriously.
I do take them seriously, but I'm still a Midwest dad about it. It's both and.
Okay.
I'm with CityCast Pittsburgh producers Mallory Falk and Sophia Lo talking about stormy weather because we have had a ton of it lately, both what's coming this week and also why the power outages last week were so unusual. We're also talking about lawsuits, who is suing who, and why the city decided to back off some legal challenges, a little controversial, and something new, sort of. It's a new to us dinosaur. The dinosaur itself is not new.
And I love it. It is so little. But also imagine if we had a new dinosaur. I don't know, evolution goes back around.
Like low-rise jeans.
I don't know that I want actual dinosaurs back on the earth. Although I argue birds are dinosaur enough. I don't know. Even robins freak me out just a little bit. Before we get started, I want to encourage folks to check out the Pittsburgh CLO's 80th anniversary Summer of Musicals with a season guaranteed to make your summer shine, all at the Benedum Center. You can get your tickets today at pittsburghclo.org. We will kick it off with lawsuits. So this is entirely my fault. A few weeks back, I took some time off. And at the end of the week, I met some friends for drinks. They were talking casually about the news, mostly dumpster fires at the national level. And I had granted myself a rare news break for my mental health. And I had no idea what they were talking about. I told y'all about this at the time. But the whole thing, that conversation has inspired us as a team here at CityCast, because I think from now on, anytime someone on the team is out for a little bit, we are going to play Two Truths and a Lie. All of this was also inspired by one of our listeners, Lynn, who was at that table with me, and we were just giggling about every time I was like, wait, is this real? Is this a real news story? Did that actually happen? So it's always going to be related to Pittsburgh news, and the joke is on me because this was my game. This was my idea, and I was actually the first person to take time off since we agreed to do this, so I am now the first contestant.
Yippee!
Welcome to the hot seat, Megan. Yeah, you were enjoying a nice little summer vacation at the end of last week. So you missed the news about a lawsuit that just got filed against a Pittsburgh institution, a local icon.
So much news, Mallory. It's not just this one.
Yeah, this isn't the most major story to have broken, but it did seem like the best candidate for our inaugural round of Two Truths and a Lie.
Right.
So Sophia is going to do the honors here and read you 3 headlines. One of these is real. 2 of these are fake. We made them up ourselves. Sophia, take it away.
Yeah, so I'm now realizing that this is actually 2 lies and a truth, but we're still rolling with it. I'm not rewriting these headlines.
That's okay. Only one of them is true. Got it.
Right. So the first one is Primanti Bros faces lawsuit over mural. The second is Prannell's Bakery faces lawsuit over handling fee. And the final headline is Eaton Park faces lawsuit over unsafe salad bar conditions.
Wait, what are the institutions again? Eaton Park?
Primanti Bros, Prannell's, and Eaton Park are your institutions.
I'm going to say Primanti's because I feel like if it was an icon, that it's Primanti Brothers.
Ding, ding, ding. We should have picked a sound effect. Okay.
I don't know. I kind of like your homemade one.
The Prannels thing did actually happen, though. Someone on Reddit complained about a 60-cent handling fee.
There was not a lawsuit. It was just a Reddit complaint. So it was a source of inspiration for one of those fake headlines. But to be clear, Prantle's not in murky legal water.
I feel like middle school Megan really just reemerged in that moment because I'm like, I don't know the answer, so I'm just going to try to play to the test.
Well, it worked for you because, yes, last week, a local artist sued Primanti's. So this guy had been commissioned back in the late 90s to make a sports-themed mural for the Primanti's in Market Square. It has all these legendary Pittsburgh athletes on it. It was finished in 2000.
Yeah, we pass by it all the time whenever we go to lunch.
Yeah, it's a very nice mural. But he says that Primanti's then reproduced it at 2 other locations without his permission in Cranberry and Grove City.
Didn't realize we were in Grove City. Not surprising, I guess. But
well, apparently the one in Grove City has since been taken down, but the one is still up in Cranberry. So he brought this lawsuit last week. Primanti says it is actively reviewing the matter. We will see what happens. Megan, this is the critical Pittsburgh news you missed on your break.
I mean, I feel like a lot of things happened while we were on break. But thank you. And thank you also to listener Lynn, who helped inspire this game by confusing me with national news. You too can inspire the show. So feel free to make your recommendations via email at pittsburgh@citycast.fm.
And we're going to keep our legal corner going with some more consequential legal updates, I would say. So first up, we have talked a lot on the show about these different approaches to get our big 5 nonprofits to pay their fair share to the city. And there's an update related to this.
Yeah. So reminder, if you are not familiar, it's UPMC, Highmark Health, Pitt, CMU, and Duquesne. So 2 major healthcare institutions, 3 major colleges. This is what people refer to as the Big 5. We did do a whole episode about the nuances of this that we'll link in the show notes. But the gist is that they don't have to pay property taxes because of a state law, which means that as a municipality, we are missing out on tens of millions of dollars a year because they qualify as a nonprofit and they own an enormous amount of land.
Yeah, and pretty much every mayor in recent memory has tried in his own way to get them to pay something. And our last mayor, Ed Gainey, he brought a bunch of legal challenges against the nonprofits. And we now have learned that O'Connor, our current mayor, Corey O'Connor's administration, has quietly withdrawn many of those legal challenges.
Yes, and we know this because the Post-Gazette just published an article about all this. So reminder, Gainey had challenged the tax-exempt status of individual properties that the Big 5 nonprofits own, especially UPMC. That included everything from parking lots to children's hospitals, so pretty wide range there. But by the time he left office, only a small number of these challenges were successful. Only a small number of the properties made it back onto the city's tax roll.
And in the meantime, we had paid a lot of legal fees to try to get there. So depending on the stories you read at the time, like as these things were proceeding through the courts, it wasn't clear whether we had yet made any money through this whole approach.
Yes. But, the legal process takes time. So when O'Connor took over as mayor, there were still some of these ongoing property appeals. O'Connor said at the time his team would be looking into them. And what the PG just reported is that his team has quietly been dropping the appeals. According to the article, I guess when the city wants to withdraw an appeal, it has to get permission from the school district and the county because they all have a stake in the outcome. Like all of them stand to get money if these nonprofits start paying property taxes. But so seems like everything aligned and these appeals have been withdrawn, many of them.
And reminder, O'Connor has been looking for one-time gifts from these nonprofits. Like earlier this year, UPMC gave the city $10 million to buy ambulances.
Gave.
Generously.
Sounds exciting, but the ambulances not actually in our hands because that also takes time.
Yeah. And it's a one-time thing.
Yeah. You got to order
not
the
a
cars,
long-standing commitment.
The whole thing. And there have been several of these that he has announced since he took office in January. My high road hope for this, though, if he's dropping legal challenges, is that maybe this is a concession to get another deal, maybe a bigger deal, maybe one that occurs over years. Like that feels like the kind of thing that you only do once you know for sure that it's like a bargaining tactic. Like if you're at the table with a UPMC or a Highmark, they're like, yeah, sure, you drop the legal challenges and then we'll talk. Or you drop the legal challenges and then I will give you this. I don't know a thing, but I hope that's what's happening.
Yes, so we are watching to see whether O'Connor can get long-term commitments. But in the meantime, if you want to go into the history of why UPMC and other nonprofits do not need to pay property taxes, unlike us, we will have a link to our episode in the show notes.
And one more legal update. This one is bleak, but it is very important, and it's making some national news too. The Allegheny County Medical Examiner ruled that Daffy Michelle was a victim of homicide.
Yes, so you might remember Michelle was an asylum seeker from Haiti. She was found unresponsive at a bus shelter on the south side on East Carson Street, just days after being released from ICE custody. This was a story we were following back in March. The medical examiner's office just announced that she died of hypothermia and ruled the manner of death a homicide.
And I think this is one of those cases where you can really see the impact of local police working with ICE. So if you didn't remember, the details we learned about at the time is that Michelle lived in Charleroi, and she was initially arrested on misdemeanor charges last year, and she was held at first at the Washington County Jail. So from reporting, it seems like she was arrested while she was having a mental health crisis, and she had a documented history of struggling with mental health, but the charges were dropped, and she was going to be released, but then the jail handed her over to ICE instead, and ICE took her into custody, put an ankle monitor on her, and then just released her on the south side with no support.
Yeah. And, she didn't speak English. She was far from home, like dropped in Pittsburgh rather than where she lived in Charleroi. It was winter. It was cold. And it seems she just spent hours sitting in sub-freezing temperatures at this bus shelter. ICE, for its part, is saying it had nothing to do with her death, that she died 3 days after the agency released her. But the medical examiner's report says otherwise. Their statement says her death was caused by the actions of another individual, though they also said in their statement that the finding is not to be interpreted as a declaration of criminal guilt. It's not the same thing as a criminal charge. But a lawyer who's represented Michelle's family since her death says he expects her family to file a suit against ICE in the coming weeks. So that is something we will be keeping our eyes on, and a really heartbreaking update to this story.
And a shout out too to Public Source. They've been following this story really closely. And also they've been doing great reporting about local police departments, sheriff's departments, things like that are working with ICE. They've been keeping a really up-to-date list. So go check them out if you want to learn more. CityCast Pittsburgh is brought to you today by the Westmoreland Museum of Art. If you've never been, you're not behind. I checked out the Westmoreland for the very first time earlier this year, and y'all, I was blown away by how much art and creativity they have packed into this pretty compact space. And they're bringing a new interactive experience to us this summer. They're doing Puttapalooza, art-inspired mini golf. Seriously, it's open now and runs through August 30th. It's an indoor 9-hole mini golf course that you can actually play. So it's for all ages, $10 for adults, $5 for kids, and anyone under 4 plays for free. There's a cash bar on Fridays, and everyone plays for free on Sundays. Plus, it's super special because everything on the course is inspired by artwork actually displayed in the museum. Athleticism not required, nor is registration. There's also a scavenger hunt. They really thought of everything. Regular museum entry and parking is always free, and while you're visiting, make sure you check out exhibits like Steel Valley Visions and Play Ball, The Art of George Sosnak. Learn more at thewestmoreland.org. Okay, we're going to talk about weather. It feels weird saying this right now because it's like sort of cold by summer standards, but there have been so many storms over the past week, definitely over the weekend. I think there are more theoretically coming over the next couple of days. And that in Pittsburgh, that means that there have been tons of power outages.
Including at our airport.
Which I missed. I was out of town when this happened, but I knew about this one. This one was hitting my phone.
And you were not flying, so that was great for you.
This one was hitting my phone hot and heavy. And I think it's worth talking about because a power outage at PIT is not supposed to happen. So I wanted to dig in on it a little bit.
Yes. So in case you missed it, this happened on Thursday. The power went out at about 3 p.m. and nearly everything was out. TSA and security, most of the lighting, luggage, the people movers. I wondered if it just shut off abruptly. Did people fly forward on the people movers? Like those videos you see of people flying off of treadmills. I don't know. It sounded really hazardous to me.
I did not see any videos of the moment that it occurred, unfortunately.
Air traffic control did not lose power, though. That would have been really dangerous. So they were still able to land planes, but like the jet bridges couldn't connect. So people just had to sit on the planes, like on the tarmac. I think some others circled or were diverted, but sitting in a plane is my nightmare. I want to be off as soon as we land.
But that happens all the time these days. I feel like every time my flight lands, we have to sit because we can't get to our gate for some reason or another.
Yeah, there's like a line or something like that. Also, seemingly not the parking lot gates, because I talked to Public Affairs Director Bob Karlick about this morning. He said he thinks he would have heard if the parking lot gates had been affected. And this was a thing that used to happen all the time. Before the event that we're about to talk about, people would get stuck at the airport. Like, say the storm happened after your flight landed, after you got your bag, you're on your way home. If the storm happened then, like on your way to your car, you would still be stuck because the gates allowing you to come and go from the parking garage would get locked down. So you would just like end up there for however long it took to get the power back on. But that didn't happen. So like you said, power went off at about 3 p.m. They started rolling stuff back online within about 15 minutes. Most of it was restored within an hour. They said everything was back online within 90 minutes. And then it took a long time to get all the people who had stacked up, waiting to get off their planes, waiting to get through security, like all of that. It took about another hour and a half total to clear that. So I think they said roughly 3 hours from start to finish that they were in irregular operations.
This sounds miserable. I am so sorry for anyone who got stuck there during this time.
Yeah, but this wasn't just like a Pittsburgh thing. Those storms that hit us, they happened all over the plains, across the Midwest. I guess Pittsburgh had over 100 flights get delayed and more than a dozen cancellations, but PAT officials say none of them were actually related to our power outage. A ton were just because of storms at other bigger airports like O'Hare and Chicago that had 1,000 flights delayed or canceled. So, like once things get messed up in one place, it just messes things up all over the place.
It's one of those like rare instances where being a smaller airport that doesn't have a hub actually is a slight benefit, because even though, that something happens, it doesn't affect you the same way. Like Chicago had a full ground stoppage. And anytime that happens, like, oh my, the ripple effects are enormous. And I feel like if you've ever been hit by a storm, like just regular old person, you know that losing power for a couple hours is like sort of normal. In fact, I would argue a couple hours is like kind of a good thing. Like we hear all the time about people who have lost power for hours, days, occasionally a week or more. Like who among us has not held things in their freezer for a friend that's has a power outage or something,
Yeah, I'm usually that person. Thankfully, I live near a couple hospitals, so I think maybe I'm connected to some of those grids because my power flickers a lot, but never like hours without it.
Yeah, I've been lucky to not have the days and days of outages that I used to experience when I lived in New Orleans, for example, but it still sucks.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's not supposed to happen at all at PIT, but I think officials would argue this was sort of a best case scenario. So a teeny history lesson about why this wasn't worse than it was. A few years ago, they launched a bunch of resiliency initiatives, and one of them was building something called a microgrid with a couple of energy partners, including People's Gas. I will let the airport's public affairs director, Bob Karlick, explain what that entails.
We got 5 natural gas generators and as well as 10,000 solar panels that power everything on the campus. So if something happens with the microgrid, we're connected to Duquesne Light, right, for the backup. But if something happens with Duquesne Light power feed, we're operating on our own.
So that was Karlick talking to another local podcast, I'll Call You Right Back in October. He was talking about some of the behind the scenes stuff that makes the airport tick, including this microgrid, which they installed back in 2021. So the natural gas generators, I would think of them more as substations. You should see photos of these things.
Yeah.
They are enormous.
I imagine they're big to power an airport.
I mean, initially, when I hear generator, I'm thinking of the big tubey thing with the cord that you pull, that runs like an old school lawnmower. That's not what we're talking about here. This is natural gas substations where they are drilling on airport property on a couple acres right there. It was built by Peoples at no cost to the airport itself. And it's been online now for 4 or 5 years. And then they also have those solar panels. So those live on 9 acres on top of what is now a capped landfill. So they covered it with dirt, and you can't really use land like that because it's too shifty for a lot. So they put solar panels on it, which is kind of neat. Altogether, Kurlik has said that these sources generate about 23 megawatts of power. I don't really know what that means.
Neither do I.
But I can understand it in context, right? So they generate that much, but the airport only needs 13 to 14 megawatts to run, like if everything is like sucking power as much as it can. So that's a big difference. And it means that they get to sell the power that they're generating. And it saves them, like, I think they said $1 million a year on utility costs.
Wow. Okay, that's so much. I have solar panels and I also saw a little bit back, but
A little bit?
Yeah. It is not like I have an extra 10 megawatts or whatever.
I don't know that I have any clue what 1 megawatt is.
I'm probably not generating a megawatt period, but I'm
hopefully
not selling
using one either.
That big of a chunk, yeah.
But all of this, like the resiliency of it all, is quickly becoming a model for other airports. Like I think they said Houston and some other places in Texas have come to tour. Like JFK in New York, like they have a partial microgrid, but it can't run the entire system. Again, I think in part that's because we're a smaller airport, so it makes it possible. And we have a lot of land around it. We're not centered in a city in the way that some are. But it is an interesting thing, like a good thing that we're able to do all of this. But I do think it's so funny. It's so funny that we've been talking about this microgrid, really, I would argue, bragging a bit. Like we even did a big story with the New York Times, I think last year when Heathrow lost power. The vibe of the thing was the CEO, Christina Casodas, being like, man, that sucks for y'all. It could never happen here. That's not the words she used, but that was the vibe. And here we are. It turns out we can, in fact, lose power.
Why would you even speak it to existence? She brought this on us.
I mean, she didn't say it was impossible. It wasn't like full-blown Titanic, but that's still been kind of the vibe. Like it was clear that no one thought that this was possible.
So then why was it? What happened?
Well, a power surge is what they're calling it, which I think everyone is assuming means an enormous bolt of lightning hit something enough that it not only hit Duquesne Light, it also hit the microgrid. And their system was not designed for both to go down at the same time. Like this to me is like Mother Nature being like, I'll keep y'all humble.
You can't fight Mother Nature. I think
Honest
we
to
just
God.
need to learn to accept that.
Yeah. So when the microgrid went down, it were supposed to kick over to Duquesne Light, but they also went down at the same time. And there's an enormous number of breakers. Not an electrician, but apparently they did what breakers are supposed to do, which is break. Like that's the language that I was told. So when they went to go turn everything back on, like everything flips and it like turns itself off so no damage can happen. They had to like manually kind of flip some things back on, but do it slowly so that power doesn't surge to a lot of things all at once and break them by like the fix doesn't become a bigger problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This does make me wonder if you can future-proof for lightning.
It sounds like they're thinking about that now. Because, I mean, they've got this microgrid. They've got the backup with the traditional grid. They apparently also have backups to the backups, like old school generators. That's how the airfield was able to keep going. Potentially maybe the parking gates. Like some things were online the whole time. They never fully lost power. But yeah, now they're like trying to think about like how to once again solve for Mother Nature. And like this totally, I'm sure for them, maybe it's fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm projecting. It feels like it would be so obnoxious to be like, we fixed it. And then Mother Nature's like, no, you didn't.
I mean, I guess we'll see because it does look like more storms are coming. Like as we're recording, I'm looking at my weather app right now. It says it's going to rain Wednesday through Friday. So good luck, airport.
And if you have any concern, confusion about how storms can hit in Pittsburgh, I would kindly direct you back to our Friday show where we talked about how tornadoes happen here. This kind of weather is not that uncommon, so don't get cocky. It's a thing. It happens. Okay, last up, Pittsburgh is once again contributing to dinosaur discoveries. We have such a long history of this, which, like many things here, of course, goes back to Andrew Carnegie.
Yes, rich man wanted dinosaurs, like very literally. In 1899, he funded the excavation that led to the discovery of Dippy, or, you know, his scientific name, Diplodocus carnegie.
Carnegie? I always pronounced it Carnegie. I have no idea.
As did I in my mind, but I never
Probably.
fact-checked that one.
I don't know. I took Latin in high school. I should know, but I don't. But Carnegie was looking for something exciting to put on display at the Natural History Museum, which he founded a few years earlier. So that was in 1895.
I've always loved this story, Sophia, because when you say rich guy wanted dinosaur, you mean that very literally. Apparently, this was all because of a newspaper article. Carnegie opened it and saw this thing. I think it was the New York Journal at the time, and it had a picture, a rendering of a dinosaur. And the headline on it was "Most Colossal Animal Ever Unearthed, Just Found Out West." But it was not entirely true. They had found one bone, and from that one bone, they decided to kind of make misinformation and pretend like it's this big thing. Imagine what the dinosaur was. So none of it was real, but it was enough to make Carnegie be like, I want that. Go get me that. And he wrote a $10,000 check to the guy that ran the museum he had just established here and was like, go get it for me.
And, they did, in fact, get a real dinosaur.
Not the interpreted, imagined dinosaur he saw in the newspaper.
No, but he did get Dippy, or most of Dippy. And that was discovered in Wyoming, which is sort of fun. And, of course, the reconstruction of the skeletons on display inside the museum. There's the giant Dippy statue outside of the museum who gets dressed up all the time. I believe he's currently rocking a pride scarf. So, now Dippy has very much become part of Pittsburgh's identity. And not to mention, there are casts of the dinosaur all over the world. Dippy is absolutely one of the most viewed dino displays, period.
An export Pittsburgh can be proud of.
We also, we have the first ever T-Rex. Pittsburgh has so many dinosaur claims, but we did not find it. We bought it from a New York museum for $7,000 in 1941. And fun fact, it actually wasn't complete until 2011 because a researcher, I guess, in New York found this piece of it that never got transferred in the original sale. So finally, in this century, we were able to complete it.
Yeah, put it all back together. There's actually a really cute NPR story from back then. We'll link in the show notes. It includes a lot of details about a very nerdy dinosaur conference that apparently we always make a very big showing at. But anyway, thanks to all that Carnegie money, even back in the day, we still have one of the best collections in the entire world. And a lot of it's not even on display. We have bone rooms in the basement at the museum. I just think it's so fun.
And that dinosaur discovery legacy is also continuing today. A paleontologist at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History co-led a whole team of researchers who discovered a new dinosaur in northwestern China. So this fossil was actually found in 2008, so a while ago, but scientific research, the whole process thing takes time. The paper came out a couple weeks ago. So the fossil that researchers found is a partial shoulder and limb that they think is a wing. And they actually found this fossil in the Chiang Mai Basin. It is a hot spot for fossilized birds, but this is the first time a non-avian dinosaur has been found there. So that is kind of cool. The dinosaur's name, I'm going to butcher this one too, Chiangmaensis. The PG reported that this name comes from a one-winged bird in Chinese mythology, which I thought was sort of cute. It got its name because scientists found the one fossilized wing. They wish they had found more.
They always do.
Maybe they'll keep digging and find more. Who knows? But this dinosaur lived a long, long time ago, 120-ish million years. And it's kind of similar to a velociraptor. It's technically called a microraptor, which I think is so cute. It makes me think it's tiny and cute.
But also probably lethal.
Yeah, it was a predator. It did eat small birds. The scientists also think this dinosaur had feathers and could kind of glide. The PG story says glide like a flying squirrel.
That's what I'm telling you. The birds are terrifying. Current birds.
Yeah, I mean, this discovery is really important because it relates to birds. It'll help scientists learn more about how birds learn to fly and kind of fill in more about the evolution of dinosaurs to birds. Like Matt Lamana, he's the paleontologist here in Pittsburgh. He told the PG that this dinosaur is about as close as you can get to being a bird without being a bird.
I like the flights of fancy, literally, that some of the paleontologists have to have. You have to be prone to dreaming, I think, to even try to take on the exercise of manifesting what these animals might have been. You know what I mean?
And they're still manifesting because Lamana thinks they're going to be finding more microraptors in the future. So, maybe in another year we'll be out here telling you about more dinosaur discoveries.
If all of this has you feeling really inspired, you want to learn more about Pittsburgh's dinosaur legacy and see dinosaur replicas up close, there are a lot of ways to have fun with dinosaurs this summer. We've got a great article about this up on our website, pittsburgh.citycast.fm, that we will also drop in the show notes. But There's a display at the Pittsburgh Botanic Gardens right now called Scraposaurus that includes 15 prehistoric creatures made out of recycled metal and other scraps. There are 30 giant animatronics at the zoo as part of their dinosaurs exhibit that runs through September. Whenever I'm driving past the zoo, like I'm surprised every time by this like dinosaur head you can see from the road popping up a little bit.
That's so much fun.
The animatronics are outside the zoo too. I haven't driven by in a while.
No. You can just like, it's tall enough that you can see it over the fence, kind of moving
just, like,
around in the
poking out.
trees. Yeah, it like catches me off guard every time and then I'm delighted. But, they have activities there too. Like you can do a fossil dig, which sounds pretty fun. And then, of course, you can always look for all the dinosaur sculptures around town from this public art project they did back in 2003, Dynamite Days. If you've ever wondered, like, why are there these dinosaur sculptures all around town? It's because of that project. But I love seeing these out in the wild. It's just a fun little nod to our history.
And I did some digging because Dynamite Days were well before my time in Pittsburgh, and the dynamitedays.org website is still up. It does look like it is, in fact, preserved in its, peak early 2000s days, and that's super fun. I haven't spent a ton of time on the website, so I'm not sure if you can see the location of all of them, but it does show you pictures, and it is very cool.
I've had multiple CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors ask me about these, like if I know the history. This is fascinating. I don't think it tells you where they all are. And of course, like things change a lot in 23 years.
Yeah, I was going to say there is a little map, but I have no idea when it was last updated.
Yeah, like the Fredosaurus Rex, for example, is definitely not where it's listed here. He moved down the street. So yeah, this is fun. That is all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. You can support the show by becoming a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor. You get ad-free listening, some perks, some swag. You can find all the details at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow with more from around the city. We'll talk to you soon.
They wish they had found more.
Check that studio in New York. Maybe they're holding on to something.
Aw.